Good evening and welcome to the Darien Sewer Commission regular meeting agenda of Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. Darien called the meeting to order at 4:33 p.m. This is being held via remote video conference only as indicated on our agenda posted on the website and with the town clerk. We're going to first approve our past minutes from October, and then the next matter that we will get to are the sewer user fee appeals. There are 15 appeals for us to work through tonight. We will work through them as diligently as we can and appreciate your patience as we do so. That will be called in the order that they are indicated on the agenda unless more information comes to light. All right, minutes.
The minutes were prepared by staff, and therefore we have no corrections to offer.
You are perfect in your own eyes, Darren.
It might actually be perfect as well.
That's right.
Just unable to see the mistakes, that's all.
Anyone?
I'll make a motion we approve.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any further discussion on the motion to approve the minutes? Not hearing any, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Bob?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Craig is a yes. And I'm correct that
So Reese was first, Hill was second.
that's correct. And we don't have Peter tonight, correct?
I'm
He
here.
was here. We lost
Oh.
him, and then he
Hello.
should be back, hopefully.
I just heard
I
him.
am here.
He
Oh,
is
sorry,
here.
Peter.
All right. Well, would you like to approve the minutes as well?
I certainly was.
All right, that's 5-0. All right, moving on to the agenda, sewer user fee appeals, discussion and action. We will start with A, 93 Old Kings Highway South, Anita Mickles. This one comes with a memo from staff with a recommendation. But do we have Ms. Mickles on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Would you like to describe the nature of your appeal?
This is a new construction house that we're building on Old Kings Highway. And we just have had no sewer there. Everything, of course, was disconnected because it was demo. So the house was removed, everything was taken out. And we just reconnected the sewer in August. And I received a bill from the town for the sewer use for $998.30 for the since 10. Well, it was $499 twice. So I was just asking for an appeal on that because we had the sewer only since August, and we haven't had it for actually 3 years. That house has been vacant. I mean, it was demoed.
Yeah, and I guess so there was a recommendation from staff that suggested we credit the 2 years that it was demolished and disconnected, but continue the invoice for the current year as is, that you are reconnected in the just a couple of weeks after the, 6 weeks after the turnover of the new year.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Pardon?
Does that make sense?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, can I get a motion?
Can I make a
Okay.
statement?
Yeah.
Actually, the 19 billing season,
Yes, sir.
they had it for a quarter of the year. So I would only credit them 75% that year.
Do you have a calculation, Bob?
Yes. For that year, it was 177.78.
Okay.
And then for the 20 year, it was 254.53 for a total credit of 432.31.
Right. Well, I had made a payment in October of 2020. I didn't realize that. Anyway, the bill got paid for $256.53 back in October of 2020.
Okay.
So when I submitted, you were going to credit that, correct?
Yeah, the credits will show up as credits, and they'll come off what your current bill is, and you would either pay the remainder or receive.
So you're sending me a new bill? Is that what you're?
Is that correct, Darren? We'll send a new bill based on the credit? You're muted.
I'm sorry, the bill will be sent. Yes.
Yes.
Whatever,
Okay.
whatever adjustments are made here tonight and moved by the commission, a revised bill will be sent.
Bob,
Okay.
do you have a motion?
So I would make a motion to give a credit from 19 and 20's bill of a total of $432.31, and then to keep this year's bill as is.
To be fair, should we credit that bill by 6 weeks?
Okay.
That would be about
That's fine.
11% of this year's bill.
Yeah, it sounds reasonable. So that would take off 99, basically $100 of this year's bill.
So would you consider revising your motion to 532.31 in terms of the credit?
Absolutely. So
Okay,
I will
so
revise the credit to 532.31, and then keep this year's bill as is.
All right, we have a motion to grant the appeal with a credit of 532.31. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
3 seconds. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call. Peter?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
I'm a yes. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you very much for your time. All right, so moving on, we are now looking at 3B, 70 Stanton Road, Michael and Kara Mooney.
May I interrupt for a moment, please?
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
This is Deirdre Rydell. I'm calling on behalf of my mom who's in the hospital right now. I had petitioned her sewer. I am her executive of her trust or her estate. And so I didn't know I have to go to the hospital to her. Do you know when I'm on the agenda? I know the meeting's from 4:30 to 7.
Letter
Yeah.
E.
Yeah, you're E. We are on B. If you feel you can wait, that's great. If you would like us to move you up the agenda, I'd be happy to do that without hearing an objection from the public.
No, I need to solve the problem. So I guess, are you saying an hour, or how long do you think it will be?
Set your stopwatch for 15 minutes. We'll see how we do.
Okay, thank you.
All right, item B, 70 Stanton Road, Michael and Kara Mooney.
Hi, this is Kara Mooney on the phone.
Hello. And the nature of your appeal, I see well-provided summaries from staff and you. You'd like us to consider your water usage from your previous residence.
Right, because we just heard, oh, go ahead.
Yep, and not use the prior owner's water usage records.
Yeah, they had like 10 people living there. If you see the bill, it's pretty crazy.
So this is a dicey area for us because it's interesting, you know, sometimes you're on the losing end of this equation, sometimes you're on the winning end of the equation. You know, if you moved in to a vacant house, you'd be paying the minimum charge this year. You happen to move into a full house and are being billed. But I think our endeavor here when we listen to appeals is to use the best data we have to come to our conclusions. And I suppose I would suggest that the forecast of your water usage based on a record of past usage is better data than we had when we sent out the bill. With that, I would ask to see if any commission members had a motion.
Well, Greg, I would take the counter argument to that in that if we start this process of reviewing things according to past usage and prior owners, it's just a Pandora's box that we're going to, the whole methodology of the billing is never going to be purely equitable. But this is not something that they could allocate at closing, a credit, debit type system. It is an inefficiency within our system, but I'm just hesitant to start going down this road in this manner.
Okay. I know as Peter has opined in the past that he wished land use attorneys and real estate agents were more attuned to this bill like they are with how much oil is left in a tank. Any other comments? Sorry, Mrs. Mooney, did you have a comment?
I would just say that, and I totally understand where you're coming from. It's just this bill's $2,500. They had honestly 10 people living in the home. So I would just really like to, if you guys could consider to make an exception for this situation. Additionally, we're doing work on the project. The water's not even going to be on. We're not moving until summer of 2022. I just, whatever you guys could consider, I'd really appreciate it, since we're not even going to be living there.
Any other thoughts from other commission members? Susan?
Yeah, I actually going to say that I get the real estate commissioners, the real estate brokers to come up with something, and the lawyers. It does seem rather harsh to do this to someone who's moved in and they're really paying somebody else's water usage through the sewer system. So I would be more inclined to go with the preferred $837.50.
Is that a motion?
I will make that motion that we accept the staff of $837.50. And I don't know how it's come up, but it just seems unfair. So that's my motion.
Yeah, and I know it's confusing because we're using past data to project future use. You are paying a user fee for this coming year's use, or July, 1st through June 30th. But the only way we have to estimate what that use might be is to look at past records for the property. That's why this little bit of a confusion comes up. We have a motion on the table.
Well, but as you just said, we're looking at past records for the property, but we're going to be using past records for the family. That's where the rub comes.
Yeah, but that's on the basis of considering this a legitimate and unique case and appeal, if that's the will of the commission.
And I'm okay with that. I'm just kind of stating fact. But the other side of this, just to mention it, is like Reed said, if people were getting a deal, they're not going to come to us and say, oh, you should be charging us more.
That's correct.
So then it's the rest of the participants in the sewer system that are bearing that. Just to have to mention it. Don't want to take it any further, but I'll mention it.
So we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second to grant the appeal?
I will second it.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Susan?
Yes. Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Hesitantly, yes.
Yes, hesitantly, because we need to do something about it. But it's not, I don't believe it's should be this person's issue. I don't believe that's why I'm hesitant.
Peter? Peter, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes.
Okay.
Didn't
Reese?
hear that well. Yes.
I'm a no.
Okay, I'm a yes. Appeal passes 4-1.
Thank you all very much.
You're welcome. Have a good night. 3C 29 Outlook Drive, Polina Topova and Andrew Kaiser.
Hi, everyone. Paulina is here.
So you can describe the nature of your appeal.
Sure. It's sort of similar to the previous one in the sense that we purchased the house in July, and we're basically asked to pay on the basis of the past data, which is not applicable to us because the family that used to live here is quite larger than the two of us. It's just me and my husband. We don't have anyone else living in this house. And we provided our prior consumption data, which is space in a house in similar size in Brantford, Connecticut. And we basically don't want to overpay for someone else's use. And by the way, I would also note the prior comment about oil. It's actually completely inapplicable because oil stays in our house and we will continue to use it. The prior owners have nothing to do with the fact that we're paying to the city for our future. So the analogy with oil is totally irrelevant to this.
So now with the next appeal, I see, Reese, your point, and Bob, your point about opening Pandora's box here, but it is a similar request. The appeal would be from the current charge of $596.30 to a new charge, I believe, as staff has recommended, of $375.20. Do I have any discussion or motion?
No, just reiterate my comments, application that this will be an issue, ongoing issue, if there's a discrepancy in how we bill. And as Bob said, only the people that are aggrieved are going to be coming in and appealing.
Mm-hmm.
I did speak with a closing attorney today, and it's just every town's different in how they bill for sewer. So having this end up on the HUD-1 or whatever they're using to allocate costs and credit is going to be very difficult for them to adapt to, and that each town is so different, and it's not something they do normally. So it's not likely that the attorney and realtors are going to be able to grasp this and credit debit it on closing based on future use, especially when you haven't had the bill go out yet. You don't have the last 2 months. What an intermonth period? How would you? It's almost an impossible math problem. So I don't think there's a solution there. There is an inherent inequity in our system, but it seeks to be fair because it treats everybody the same.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start treating people differently. That distorts it as well.
Understood.
Hey, Craig,
Yes, sir.
if I may, there's always an opportunity for checks and balances with our system as we go through the process of billing. We have it go through it every year. I see the inequity, if you will. I understand Reese's point of view and Bob's. The thing that we could possibly institute it if the commission deems it would be any type of appeal of this nature where we do a reduction. Well, next year at this time or before billing, we go through and see if there was a modification or some type of use that supported the appeal, and we wouldn't do anything with that. But if it didn't support the appeal, it showed that the bill wasn't paid properly, we go back after those funds. That's one opportunity. The other opportunity is to deny the appeal at this time, and have the homeowner come back in next year and appeal it then, showing that the use was overstated from the previous owner, and they'd like to reduce their previous bill.
Yeah, I like that. This is Peter.
Well, aren't they providing us with their prior water use from their prior location?
Yeah, I actually did provide the prior water use, and we provided all the calculations. The size of the houses are very comparable. We're around 350 square meters, 3.5 thousand square feet. The residents are exactly the same. So we already gave you the data. Because the point is that in terms of the process, you have, there are not that many houses in Darien that change hands that if there are aggrieved people, you can't deal with it. But the fact that I have to pay for someone else's use for the services I'm getting in the future is sort of, maybe the system it's easy for you to administer it, but in the end, why should I be paying for someone else's use?
Thank you, Mrs. Filipova. We totally understand the question, and we've dealt with it before, and we're always endeavoring to find the correct, equitable balance of the most accurate way of doing business and achieving a sense of fairness so everybody feels as though they're being treated the same. I like Ed's ideas. I think perhaps moving forward after this meeting, or maybe in the next round of billing, we perhaps come up with a policy memo or policy statement on how we would think to operate for appeals like this and have that be kind of available and published maybe before the next billing cycle next year.
I'd be curious to know the dollar figure that if we were to take the lower figures for these, for the people who proved that their water usage was less at their last residence, or even moving forward. And
So you would like to see the audit at the end of this year on any
I'd be
appeals
curious to
that
know what
yeah.
that
Okay.
dollar figure.
Well, let's accept Ed's idea to do that audit at the end of this year in July of 2022 and take a look at these appeals to see if they were consistent with the information granted. I'll ask for a motion on this one, which is from 596.30 to 375.20.
What letter is on the?
What
letter is that on the?
B.
B.
It's in Craig.
Okay.
I will make a motion to amend the 2021 bill to $375.20.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Ask for a roll call vote. Peter?
Yes.
Reese?
No.
Bob?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
I'm a yes, it's a 4-1. Thank you for your time. Moving on to D, 49 Norton Avenue for James Hanson. A similar request, I believe.
Yep, this is Jim Hansen. Hi, guys.
Hello. So, yeah, who was prior? This one would be from 2,398.60 to 824.10. Provided prior water use from their prior house in Darien.
I'll make a motion to amend the bill to 824.10.
Do I have a second?
I will
Second here, Peter.
Okay, Peter wanted to get in on the action, Susan, sorry. So he gets a second.
No problem. No problem.
Any further discussion? Right, roll call vote. Bob?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Reese?
No.
Peter?
Yes.
I'm a yes, that's 4-1. I'm going to keep going out of order with you guys just so you stay awake. All right, 3E. I think I was a little over 15 minutes, but we're up to Ms. Rydell, 337 Middlesex Road.
Thanks,
Yes,
guys.
I'm calling on behalf of my mother, Ruth Rydell, who lives at 337 Middlesex Road. And our sewer bill every year is around $200 and something. This year it was $800 and change. And so I investigated and called your department, and they asked me when the sewer was turned off. And unfortunately, my mom has been very ill, and we did not turn off her watering system till November 24th, not realizing that it's extremely important to get your water system turned off by October so you don't have a situation like this. She's on a fixed income, and I am trying to see if we can get that lowered. And going forward, I have had her water system turned off in October.
Yeah, the irrigation system, you don't want to pay for the irrigation water that you're using because it doesn't go down sewer and doesn't add to our costs of operating the sewer system. This is a very common appeal. We usually make the appeal with the caveat that it is a one-time appeal and either need to make arrangements for your irrigation system to be shut off before November or sub-meter your irrigation system and ask for that to be observed by staff. With that said, staff has very helpfully provided a recommendation which would reduce the water bill from $837.50 to $603. You agree with the math?
600 and what, I'm sorry?
603. Any? Yes, ma'am?
But from the previous year, it was only 200 and something, so how can you just deduct
Yeah.
$200?
So we
And
have,
it's a single woman that lives on the property.
yes, ma'am, we have the water use from December, January, February, and March. And if we use those values and annualize them,
You do come out to 603. I
Yeah.
did the math correct.
yeah, that's,
But the other thing is that I'd like to state is the bill has not been $200 the last 2 years. Last year it was $471.60, and the year before that it was $422.10. So
Oh.
there's usage there that it is driving the bill.
yeah, and the usage is consistent actually because fairly consistent. It's gone up a tad, and our rates have gone up a tad, and that's why we're at 603.
So there would be no consideration of her being elderly on a fixed income to go to the 2 years before that you have 470 and 420?
No, again, we're always endeavoring to find the actual water use based on the best available information, and based on the information provided, it's pretty clear what the actual water use is. We are discounting the November use when the irrigation system was on, but the use in the other 4 months over the winter is consistent.
Okay.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
I will make a motion to amend the 2021 bill to $603.00.
I assume with our typical caveat.
Yes.
Do I have a second? Yeah. One time, offer to submeter or turn off irrigation system.
It's turned off now, and we just turned it off 3 weeks, in the middle of October. So I will be more on top of that. Thank you.
Understood. Do I have a second?
Second, Reese.
Reese seconds, jumping into the fray. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote. I'm a yes. Susan?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
All right, unanimity.
Very much.
Thank you for your time. All right, moving on to F, 67 Hecker Avenue, Michael and Joe and Sawitsky. 3F. Do we have a representative on the call?
Yeah, this is Mike Sawitsky online. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. Yes, good afternoon, good evening, late evening, early evening, whatever. Yeah, basically, I'd like to discuss a reduction of my bill to use the actual yearly consumption versus the annualized consumption. If my calculation is right, in understanding the annualized calculation, it came out to 89, what was it called, CCF or something. I'm looking at my actual bill from Aquarian. I believe my yearly consumption was only 70 CCF. So basically, I'm looking for a reduction of about $127 there.
May I?
Yeah.
Okay. Right now we have approximately 5,500 accounts. So we have devised a system where we annualize November, December, January, and February. So, and people pay in the future so that we are able to use a computer program to do this. And while I understand what you're saying here about changing this year, if you were to go back to last year and do the same way of to me cherry picking years, last year you would have to pay an extra $203.05. So it evens out in the wash, would be the expression. And I believe that our system is just about as fair and equitable as you can make.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Obviously, it's the first time I'm going through the appeal. Do you always use November through March as your calculation basis?
Yes, we always do. And that's designed intentionally so we are not picking up irrigation water or outside use water that is
Yeah.
more prevalent.
So the other question is, why doesn't the system use the actual usage for residential versus only commercial?
Because again, if we use 12 months, the amount of irrigation water in the system would be completely skewing the bills, and that irrigation water is not going down the sewers, and it doesn't cost us money in the operation and maintenance of our sewer system.
Yeah, but I do not have a pool. I do not have an irrigation system, so I don't even use water to water my lawn or plants or anything.
Should we then adjust your bill last year to upward? Because if you take all 12 months, you actually should owe us more money. We do the same way every year for every property.
But I guess, all right, that's fine. That's a good point, but I just don't understand why you don't use actual versus estimated every year.
Because we would have to go through each of the, I'll say of the 5,500 accounts, 5,000 of them are residential. So we would have to go through and find out if each one had a sprinkler system or a pool. And then if they did, they would, at their cost, they would have to put in a sub-meter, which we would have to send someone out to read, which would probably, with 5,000 accounts, necessitate us hiring another individual for the sewer department personnel. So we have come up with this system, and this is the one that, I mean, we've tweaked it in the time I've been on the commission, and I believe that it is a good system. Is it perfect? No. Is there such thing as a perfect system? No. But this is as close as you will get.
All right.
Anyway, this is, I agree, this is an unusual request that we haven't seen before, and I don't think it's consistent with our regulations for how we bill, and it doesn't represent any additional data that we didn't already have. So with that, I'll ask for a motion.
I will make a motion to deny.
We have a second on the motion.
Peter, second.
Okay, we got Peter as a second. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, Susan?
No.
Peter?
No.
Reese?
No.
Bob?
No.
Craig is a no. Appeal is denied.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Okay. So my usage last year compared to actual usage or usage this year, is it consistent?
I have 87 and 80 for my two.
Yeah, 87 last year, 80 this year.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear all that.
8,700 cubic feet last year for the full 12 months, 8,000 cubic feet for the full 12 months of this year.
80.
80.
And
From
what's
July through June, which is our billing cycle.
July through June? Okay. And all right, so if all right, they're in the ballpark. So my bill last year was what, 366.80?
Correct.
Yes. And if
now
you took
and
you
now
took 80 and you times it times 655, which was our cost last year, I get a total of $569.85, which is $203.05 more than what you were billed.
So you made out on only doing the 5 months last year.
So, all right, so so what are you saying? The 5 months last year, I used less than the 5 months of this year? So that's why it's cheaper?
Last year,
correct.
Last year you used 23 in those 5 months. This year you used 37.
Yeah.
Okay. And just so I understand it, basically the reason why you don't want to switch to actual usage for residential is because it would cause too much headaches for those that have irrigation systems?
Yeah, which
it
is
would
about
be,
half the town.
well,
What
it
was
would
that?
be, it would be more cost prohibitive to the sewer department. We would have to have we would have to read meters, we would have to input data. And so we would have to have someone to read those 2,000 or 3,000 meters and someone to input the data for those meters. So that would at least cause one more person in it. And I think it would have inherent problems in it in and of itself.
The cost of maintaining and billing for the sewers would go up, which would be borne by everybody, and it would create a very difficult situation in terms of discerning specifically domestic water use. This system does a much better job of discerning the domestic water use. And with that, I'm going to have to move on because we have a lot of other appeals to get to tonight, and there are other people waiting. So I thank you for your time. If you have any other questions, you can submit them via email through staff.
Okay, thanks.
We're on to item 3G, 347 West Avenue, Virginia L. Jameson.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, my apologies. I was leaving work. I don't have documentation in front of me that I've sent to you, but basically I had a leak in my son's toilet and discovered that as a result of a higher Aquarian water bill. And with that in motion, I contracted somebody to resolve that. So I think my documentation has shown that that leak was resolved. I paid for it, and that was, I hope, why I had a higher water bill. In addition, I just spoke to somebody in the office. I do turn off my sprinkler system every October, and I do not turn it back on until June. So that time frame would not be a result of that.
Okay, no, I was just wondering because November was higher than the others. That's why I was asked. I asked staff to ask you that.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. I mean, I can get documentation. So, I mean, typically I left it off in October. If they came the first week of November, then I can look that up with the company.
It's not completely out of range. It's a hair higher, but not as high as the months where you really are irrigating. So we see the information is clear in the data. The reaction time by the homeowner was quick. And Bob, did you check these calcs? Are you comfortable with them?
Yes, I did check well, they did it slightly different than I did. Normally we would have taken the 3 remaining months and used those. Mm-hmm. But staff, I believe, did an extraordinary job and actually averaged the 2 previous years to fill in those blanks and came up with a system that is just as good, if not better than mine. So I have no problem with their calculation of 12/26/10.
Okay, that sounds like a motion to accept the appeal based on staff's recommendation. Do I have a second?
Peter.
Yeah. Peter, quick to the draw tonight. If he was on Jeopardy, he'd be getting the buzzer first. All right, any further discussion on the motion? All right, Peter.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
I'm a yes, the appeal is granted. 3H, 1031 to 1033 Post Road, Robert L. Mazza at the Bob at Sugar Bowl. Someone online?
Bob called me today and said he was really ill at home and he wouldn't be able to jump on the phone. So if we could just do it without his involvement, that's fine.
Okay, do we have the data we need?
We do. I think it really comes down to 2 things. Do we want to?
Yeah, it sounds like someone's trying to get my attention. Derek?
Yeah, there was a mistake in the way we laid out the agenda.
Oh.
Just want to call it to your attention in the package.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we
H is
label
really
H.
I. Yep.
H should really be, in the package, should really be I. So if you're looking
And I
for,
should be H. Yep, got it.
okay,
It's the
Well,
next one.
The
thanks.
only thing that really needs to, I don't know if that's the way, Darren. I think just the last 2 lines of this page, or actually last 3 lines need to be stricken. The 56 line, the sewer and the services charge. If those are stricken, then it's correct. Other than the fact that it should say the sewer department proposes a bill of $6,432, not $67,432.
Yeah.
Trying to follow along with you, Bob, and I'm lost.
Okay, so anyway,
What page are you on in the packet?
3I, 1 of 5.
3I, 1 of 5. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
So what I did is I took their water use. If you look at their total water usage from the previous 2 years, they
Yes,
were
sir.
extremely similar. They
Yes,
were
sir.
940 and 980. So staff and I concur with what they did was they averaged those two times this year's amount per CCF and came up with a bill of $6,432.00.
And you like that?
And I like that.
Okay,
I think that's a reasonable way to deal with it because there's no information in this year's billing cycle that we could really go from what I can discern.
Understood. So this is a mechanical failure that was experienced, identified by the property owner, and do we believe it's been rectified?
Yes, they replaced the regulator on the ice machine once they saw the bill. I mean, I believe within 10 days, they had someone out there to deal with the situation.
Okay. And so it sounds like, Bob, you're making a motion to grant the appeal as recommended by staff up to the
yes, the only thing,
6432.
the only thing, and I'll just say it, I'm not going to go any further with it, but I'm going to say it. This water did go down the drain.
Mm-hmm.
So,
as does a running toilet.
But I'm saying it went down the drain, the sanitary sewer drain. So someone had to pay for it. So it's
I think this is when we look for, if I recall our past discussions, some level of responsibility on behalf of the property owner to rectify situations as soon as they occur. And when we see that action, we have tended to grant the appeals. When we see an extended time where it's ignored or unnoticed, we've done a number of things. We've denied appeals, we've split the difference depending on how much responsibility the property owner had in making sure we didn't have excess water going down the drain.
And I'm totally there with you. I'm just saying, the reason that it comes, I'm trying to get to the point. The reason the issue becomes apparent is because of the sewer bill and I hate to use this term, but I'll use it anyway. They're lackadaisical about their water bill. So I just have to express my concern that they're not auditing their water bill as well. And what it is when it comes to the sewer bill, then they ask for the amended issue rather than being diligent on their water bill and paying attention. I just have to say it. I'm not going to take it any further. I will make the motion of an amended bill of $6,432.00.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, Bob.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Okay, the appeal is granted 5-0 with my yes vote. What was I going to say? Well, yeah, ice makers. Wish we didn't have to have those. Anyway. A lot of energy, a lot of water. So now we're going to look at 3I on the agenda, which is 59 Hollow Tree Ridge Road, the Beton Arroyo, and it happens to be labeled as 3H in our packets for the data. Is that correct? Yes. Okay.
So I'm Babette, I'm here. The bill is in mine and my husband's name. The house was rented. My husband passed away on April 30th. My son Charles is on the line. I think he's muted. There was a toilet. It was actually a new toilet, which I don't really understand, but it was a new toilet that leaked, and there was water all over the kitchen, and the tenant sent me the photo, and I hired a contractor and I repaired it. And it was in the time frame of the January, February bill, which I wasn't getting the water bills, the tenant was. So as soon as I was made aware of it, I got the toilet repaired, and then I got a huge sewer bill. I've never gotten a bill like that in 25 years we've lived there. So I'm asking that you make an adjustment for the damage.
It's clear, the jump is clear and the return to normal is clear. It did take a little time between point A, point B, and your suggestion that it was the tenant getting the bill and not you explains that.
I don't know, it is, well, I guess it is. The April is still a little, I guess that could be part of, because I thought it was fixed before the March reading. Let me see here. Because it was read on, according to 4 of 5, it was read on March 25th. Wait a minute, 24th. Right? And the bill was paid March 2nd, if memory serves correct. So the 37 is kind of off.
The contract bill was, I believe, March 3rd, the date on the paying the contractor.
Okay, March 3rd.
See that? Yeah, that's when I paid him.
But I'm saying that the April reading is 37 CCFs, which is the period.
Yeah, that's not a straight April, right? That could be a little bit into March, a little bit into April.
If you go to 4 or 5, it says the actual period. Does it not? That's why I'm confused.
There we go. April bill.
The 325 to 426 is 37.
That's interesting. With the bill paid 3/2, so somehow there was still some water running for
March 1st,
few weeks.
but the March 1st document is only an estimate, so possibly the work wasn't done until later. An estimate on March, right?
I thought it was paid.
I paid him upon completion, and then he resent me the bill because I didn't have it handy, because like I said, my husband died, a lot happened, so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what I see is that it's back to normal now. Certainly, May, June numbers are where we would expect them to be.
And they're so consistent with 19 and 18 and 19. It's just
water usage over time.
And
so, Reese, is that a motion?
Yeah, absolutely. I make a motion that we accept staff recommendation for a charge of $904.50 for this year's sewer service.
Peter seconds.
That's where I'm. Can you give me where I'm trying to go is that the 37 skews it up to that number. That's where and so staff is using that number.
Got it.
That's where I'm trying to actually, I would, if you want to say it's usual, then it should actually be lower. And I can't find statistical reason to do that. I've tried.
Got it.
Well, you know what, Bob? I'm going to let you run with that. I think based on the consistent prior use before any leak with a contractor fixing a problem, you want to run the math real quick and see where you come out?
I don't understand what I'm using, Reese.
Well, I
Pull
would
that
use,
30.
I just used November, December, May, and June, and I came up with
Yep.
381.90, which is
Okay.
very consistent with last year's bill of 379.90.
Okay.
So Reese, with that additional information, would you
Yeah,
like?
I would withdraw that former motion. I'll make a new motion that we amend the bill to 381.90 based on the consistency of past year plus a serious remediated problem in a timely manner once discovered.
Oh yeah, now
so
I
that-
actually see I have that written down.
Oh, you had 381.90. Good. I'm glad we agree.
Yeah, no, I it's over here in the corner, but
So Reese
I
is
was just gonna
a
get
motion. Peter, are you a second?
Yep.
Any further discussion on the motion? Susan,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Bob,
yes.
Peter.
Yes.
All right, that's a yes for me. Thank you for your time, Mrs. Arroyo, and the appeal has been granted to $381.90.
I had sent in the minimum, so I'll just send in the difference.
Yeah, you'll get a new bill, and
Okay.
but if you want to send in the difference, I think that's fine too.
All right. Thank you so much. I worried about this a lot.
You're welcome. All right, we're going to move on to 3J, 11 Peabody Lane, Brian and Elise Weedock.
Hi, yeah, this is Doc. Hello, everybody. I'm new to the town. We moved about a year ago. Hopefully you have paperwork in front of you. But as you see, our bills, well, one, our bills spiked dramatically in the January and February, building up to $24 and $840 respectively. We got a letter from Aquarian. We had a leak in the pipe. We hired a contractor and a surveyor. We found the leak. We remediated. And I think we're back to normal levels. You can probably see that on Aquarian bills. I then checked. We bought the house. Dara's, who lived here before us, their bill the prior year was $1,100. Our annual bill showed up this year and it was $6,190. Just under 6 times. I think the math kind of works out that way. It's what I'm asking the commission to do. I also sent in previous water usage. It's just my wife and I here from our prior home on Long Island. And it contains, pertinent information there. I'm asking the commission to review to hopefully have a bill much more similar to what the Daras had when they lived here for a number of years. Similar situation, a couple. They actually had 2 kids. Our kids on and out of the house.
Thank you, sir. The advantage here is that water from a water line leak doesn't go down the sewers. And again, it's a failure that was rectified. Bob, were you able to discern any consistent way to arrive at an equitable bill?
No, I mean, I'm kind of lost on this one because according to Aquarian, well, first of all, a leak in a neighbor's property shouldn't affect your water usage, number one, unless water goes through your meter. That's number one. Number two, Aquarian was emailed and they stated that 23 Ray's Lane and 11 Peabody Lane do not share a line because they're too far apart. So having never actually been to Peabody Lane, I've been to Raiders Lane. I'm really confused at the situation.
I might add, by the way, I might add, so are we. It didn't make any sense to us. Obviously, we knew we had a leak, and we have a letter here dated April 19th from Aquarian that clearly we have a leak, given the outsized usage of water. The pool wasn't on or anything at that point. So we hired an underground surveying company. And yeah, again, I don't understand how the pipes connect, but Raiders Lane, we live down here on the water. They're 3 houses over. I do know, however, that's a new construction, and I'm assuming somehow a pipe was broken during that construction. Again, I don't know that to be true, but I will say I agree. I don't understand, and still don't, quite frankly, what 23 Raiders had to do with it. Having said that, when that problem was remediated, our water usage went down again dramatically. So that's what we were told by presumably underground surveying experts. But I can't say I wasn't scratching my head either.
Well, it is interesting. So do you have more recent water bills than June of this year? Because the usage is still very elevated in the data that we're looking at.
The last one I have here, well, no, I mean, during the summer, obviously, we have a pool and everything, so, and it's a pretty big pool, so we had pretty good usage in the summer. The pool is now closed. We closed it, I want to say 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But again, it's pretty clear, and hopefully you see that the bill we got in January, $824, and the bill we got in February for $847 is substantially bigger. Obviously, no sprinkler systems, no pool.
No, we understand what you're saying, and you paid $4,000 for something, and
yeah,
it seems to have reduced the bills. It's just that the conclusion that staff got to, which is the one that we're getting to now, is
okay.
To what number does it make sense to reduce? We don't have really any good data to pick a number. We don't really have data to say that the issue was completely resolved, because we haven't seen we went down from 170 to 70. That's something, but then it went back up to 160 in May, and then down to 90. So it's kind of jumping all over the place. And
The only thing I would add to that, and again, I don't know because apparently I'm not privy to the prior owner's bills, but I believe you folks are. So yeah. I don't know what their bills were typically. All I know is I know what their annual bill was at $1,100, and that seemed to be copacetic with the commission. I know as far as, again, it's my wife and I, and it was just Paul and his wife. And so I'm assuming, and you saw the water usage I saw on Island, it's pretty low. So figuring out, I just think a $6,100, $6,000+ bill versus my expectation was something similar to, the prior owner.
No, we understand. We understand. So you understand what we're trying to do is come up with an accurate means by which to estimate what the bill should be. What I heard you suggest was that the bill that the prior owner paid, which was $1,100.40, seemed to be reasonable when compared with the $6,190.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. With that, do
Craig,
I have a motion? Yeah.
Craig, one of the things that puzzled me with this appeal is, where is the meter? Is it at the house? Is it a remote meter with a private line? And if a line was ruptured, is it his line or Aquarian's line? If the meter's at the house, if the line were ruptured before the meter, it wouldn't show up on the meter, right?
Correct.
So I'm just wondering what's going on here, that the contractor of an adjoining next door house could have ruptured a line that would have increased his water bill to this extent.
Sir, do you know where the meter is?
I'm sorry?
Do you know where the meter is?
Do you know where your water meter is? Is it in your house, or is it remotely up the road?
I believe it's here. I can ask my wife real quickly, who's just home. Did I do that?
Sure.
Certainly.
Hold on 1 second.
I mean, I don't have a problem with amending his bill, but I think there's investigation that needs to be done down here. Something isn't right. Putting it simply, because there's this, from the little bit of due diligence I was able to do, there's a 6-inch main on Peabody Lane, according to a water map I have at the firehouse. So the water should not be coming from Raiders Lane to this gentleman's property. So I'm really confused.
Yeah, if we don't have the information to make a decision, let's decide what information we think we need to make a decision. We could ask the appellant to.
I apologize.
acquire
My
that
wife,
information.
contractor who usually answers, and I'm going to get an answer, but my wife thinks it's actually down by 23 raters. And I know that sounds crazy, so I just want to confirm that with you.
There are times when a meter is in an old meter pit near the property boundary or near a street, so it's not impossible.
See, that would make sense then if his private line was ruptured by a adjoining neighbor doing construction and this much water leaked, then his water bill and his sewer bill, or sewer bill we can certainly look at, but it sounds like somebody broke a water line and it didn't break on its own.
Or maybe it did break on its own, but yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, constant conjunction doesn't cause causation. One thing.
Coincidence is not causality. I don't know. Neither of us are saying it right.
Yep.
Well, with that clarification, Reese, does the 1100 make more sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, it does, because it doesn't sound like there's a lot of use, and there is a. I'd rather find out where the meter is though before I move on this. So I would like to stay this, find out where the meter is located, and we could certainly push this down the road 1 month and get that information, whether it's town staff goes out or Aquarian, says the meter is here and the line was busted here. Then we have a story that syncs up for me.
All right, I'm going to add a third piece of information. So one, we need confirmation of exactly where the meter was, confirmation where the break was. You could do something as simple as grab a clip of a Google aerial and point to things to provide that to us. And I'm going to ask for a third, which is whatever your most recent monthly water bill is prior to our next meeting.
Okay.
I mean, just so you know, we're leaning towards an amended bill highly. We just need a little bit more of a push. That's.
By the way, I appreciate it, and I understand that. I do think on one of the bills I submitted, it stated that there was a broken pipe at.
Yes.
Yeah. The broken pipe was found, in fact, at 23 raters. I'm sorry. What was so? It was where's the meter? Identify the break.
Where is the break? And this next month's water bill.
Okay.
Hey, Craig, any thought to pushing them out till after the holidays to get 2 good months worth of readings?
No, I mean, really.
I mean, if it's still high, it's going to show up in the next.
Yeah, let's see where we're at. I'd like to see where we're at next month. We'll keep things moving along if we can.
Hey, honey, do you have the most recent Aquarian bill?
Geez, I love virtual meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had one last time where the commissioner left their mic on while they took a break.
Greg,
That's a good one.
you want to tell me how to share a screen? I can give you the water bill for 23 raters.
If you scroll to the bottom of your screen, the
Penn emailed that out earlier today because I had asked.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yep.
So I can tell you the high is 46, and it's like November, no, August.
Look, I think there's enough confusion and question here. I want to get all three pieces at the same time.
Sure.
I want to feel comfortable that we have all the information we need before us.
I mean, it'd be one thing if it was the house next door. He said it's 3 houses down. I'd be concerned that for some possible reason, is there any chance we're not billing any of those houses in there? Just because it sounds like it might have been years ago in a state where it was one big property and there was a water line ran on private property that kind of circumvented Aquarian. And I'm wondering if possibly that there's, you know, sewer non-billing issues.
So we just paid a bill on the October 19th bill. We paid was $299.7.
Yeah, it's more, again, it's more helpful for us to have the bill because it's got the cubic feet of water use. So if you wouldn't mind just waiting 1 month and we can get clarification on all 3 items at the same time, I think that would be the best way to kind of look at this again.
Okay, and so so when I get those 3 things, I'll write back to you guys and supply them.
Yeah, exactly. You can email and communicate with Penny again, and we'll get you back on the agenda next month.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Let's see. J was tabled, and we're on to K, 172 Longneck Point Road, Jury and Sally Fine.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Just trying to catch up in my packet.
What did I do here? 4 plus 6 plus 0.
Okay. This one actually looked pretty straightforward. That's one heck of a month of running water, which you said it went outside.
15 days.
Do I have a consideration for staff's recommendation on this one?
Yeah.
Well, it's all a question of if you go by staff, what they did was to fill in February and March, they used historical data. Or we can go from the 3 months that we have of November, December, and January.
Mm-hmm.
You tell me which way we want to go, and I'll give the number.
I'm comfortable with staff recommendation.
Okay. So that would be they come up with a number of $469.00.
Oh, I'm looking at 455.60. Is that not correct?
Don't I have the right? Oh, I'm sorry. I have the wrong page. My mistake. Sorry. Please forgive me. I don't give anybody a heart attack. Yes, 455.60. Sorry.
So I think Peter was going to make a motion.
I am. I made it.
Okay, we have a second.
Could accept 455.60.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got Reese as a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, Susan?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes, sorry about that. I got my pages confused.
Okay, I'm a yes. The appeal is granted. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening. Moving on to 3L 28 East Lane, Kathleen Haranzo.
Yes, this is Mark Haranzo on behalf of my mother, Kathleen.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Mm-hmm. 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 This one looks straightforward to me. Leaky pipe was fixed.
But again, it comes down to, do we want to use those three months or historical data?
That's a great question.
But I love the 0. I've had a 0 once in a while before. That's awesome.
And you take particular pride in it, I know.
They called me. They thought the was broken one.
So they're doing 460, and then they go back a year or average the last 2 years. I kind of like the way Penny's doing it. I got to tell you.
Cares about it.
If the owner hasn't changed over, you know.
Yep. I'm comfortable with that. I'll make a motion. We reduce the bill to 469.
I'll second it.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, Peter.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
I'm a yes. Appeal is granted. Moving on.
Great. Thank you all so
3M.
much. Thank you all so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome. Sorry for cutting you off. I'm in a rush.
Have a good evening.
3M, 278 Roten Avenue, Caroline Adams.
Yes, hi, I'm here. Do you want
Waiting.
me to talk about it, or is it fairly clear cut for you?
Oh, geez. I'm gonna have to run for a power cord. Question.
Yes.
Do you have a sprinkler system?
I do.
Okay. Any idea when you turned it off this year?
In 2021 or 2020?
This year.
This year, it
Oh,
just got turned
sorry,
off.
2020. Sorry.
Yes, I do. I believe it was the first week of November, but I paid for it on November 24th.
Yep.
Okay.
That shows up. Yep. Makes sense.
Well, only because if the numbers you're using are 4, 10, and then historical of 8, 11, and 10, the 22 skews it. Do we want to use the 22 or not? Is my
I don't know. It is higher than any other domestic use month for the last 3 years. We can go with the 15.
Yeah,
from the
I like
prior
the
year.
15.
Oh, you want to use the 15? Okay.
So what would you use?
Yeah, run it with the 15, Bob. See what it comes out to.
Okay, well, give me. So that'd be 7 less. So that'd be 54 times 2.4 equals 130. 130 times 6.7 is 871.
Is that a motion?
I mean, it's in line with last year's.
I like your methodology.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay. So I have a motion on the floor to grant the appeal to make up for the faulty valve and a little bit of irrigation water down to $871.
I make a motion.
And we got a second on the motion with Peter. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, Peter, you go first.
Yes.
Susan, you go second.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
All right, appeal is granted. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to 3N, 24 Herman Avenue, Wendy Rebello. Wendy is on the line, and we're looking at the information now. Hello.
Hi, I didn't know if you need any clarification for me. I will say we don't have irrigation and we have no pool or anything like that. It was strictly an issue with the leak in the water line. And
So you
we did.
requested, yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, based on the memo, you requested a discount of $106. Staff computed something a little bit extra.
And I would concur with staff.
So you like staff
I
number.
believe that 757.10 would be the appropriate amended bill.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay, a second. Peter seconds. All right. Any further discussion on the motion? Bob.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm a yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
All right. I'm a yes. The appeal is granted to 757.10. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You too. All right, moving on to 307 Silver Lakes Drive, David Eagle.
Yes, sir.
Our customer service program tonight. Looking at the information now. Sometimes I get to it at a time. Sometimes.
Yeah, this one's a little difficult.
The data is clear. Nice 3 times their own, and randomly run on their own. Plumbers, I don't know. I mean, to me, the data looks pretty good. With the, the irrigation water makes sense, and the warm quarters, the November and February leaks make sense.
Yeah, I mean, the one part of it that makes it difficult for me is the fact that basically in either a month or even 2 months time, it's enough to fill 3 swimming pools. It's over 99,000 gallons.
Honestly, I can believe it. I would believe.
Well, I can believe it. I'm just, I have issues with it. That's where I'm at there. I mean, there was 100,000 gallons that went down our drain.
Yeah. It was responded to quickly as soon as they had the Aquarian bill, or even,
Yeah, but I mean,
So
this had to be water you could physically hear. Is where I'm at.
I see.
That's where I'm at. Maybe I have a different perspective, but I mean, that's a boatload of water.
Do any other commissioners have comments or thoughts?
I agree. It's excessive, and it's interesting. The meter must be in the ground in this case because they talk about snowstorms getting to read the meter and check the meter. And
it is.
It must be hidden in the
It's
house.
a ground meter.
Got it. Yeah,
I'm sorry, Susan, can you say that again?
It seems to me our practice is if they fixed it relatively as soon as they know about the water usage, that we've been adjusting the bill. I would make a motion to go with, well, I don't know. What is Bob? Bob, what do you think?
What do I think?
In terms of
You don't want my opinion on
it.
So,
Oh, okay.
If we look at,
I can give you it from last year, but
yeah, I looked
last
at
year's perspective, but I just there's a point where, it might have been quick, but I just still have a problem with it. Sorry, it's nothing. I don't. It just is such a massive thing that at this point in time, I think that this should be a shared responsibility. It's just too much.
Look, and sorry for piping in. We have 3 small kids at home. As soon as I could try to find a plumber, I could, but it literally took, I don't know how long to get someone in there. I MacGyvered it on my own, and it was like whack-a-mole. It wasn't until I received that enormous bill from Aquarion that I realized there's a big problem here. And then I was penalized, obviously, there. I was able to appeal some of that amount, but it's not something that I realized it would have such big repercussions.
But just looking at your water use history, the 2 months prior to the massive month were estimated bills, and then it jumped way up to the 121. The prior 2 months were a 9 and a 12. Did you get everything in February? Did you get whacked with everything from the prior 2 months too of increased usage? Craig, do you see what page I'm talking about? 8 of 17?
Yeah,
13 yes, sorry, I was on mute. That's right. Those are estimates. It was kind of like what could go wrong, did go wrong. I saw these small bills and I'm like, okay, I fixed it on my own. There's no big problem here. And then I got that enormous bill. But if you look at what I call Exhibit E, that may not follow you all, but it's a bill. On the top, it says due by 3/21/21. On the second page, there's 2 readings there. that the top reading shows 88 CCFs for, I'm sorry, from one day, 122.21 to 122.21, and then it had 123.21 to 224.21, and it went down to 33. So it reverted to normal all in one bill. But for whatever reason, and I think it was just coincidence, the day that the person came out to correct it was the day that they did another read.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I would tend to, in this case, because we got estimated, we got
yeah.
additive.
We don't know that 121 landed all in 1 month. Or
Yeah,
one time.
I think no, we don't, and I bet it didn't.
But as
I
soon
would
as,
tend
soon
to
as
look at.
Craig, as soon as he recognized there was a problem through the water bill, he dealt with it as timely as possible during COVID, which is difficult to get anyone to show up.
I concur. So, Reese, if we look at a motion that.
Craig, I'm going to make a motion to move this along, that we use the larger of the two usages, which is November, March of 2018, multiply it by, come to 8/24/10.
Okay, so Susan makes a motion to reduce the bill to $824.10 based on looking at prior water usage.
Times this year's rate.
Times this year rate. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh,
Have a
okay.
second? Do I have a second on Susan's motion?
I'll second that, Craig, because it's
Reese
consistent
seconds
with
the
the last.
motion. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor? Peter?
Yes.
Peter is a yes. Reese?
Yes.
Bob?
No.
Susan?
Yes.
I am a yes. 4-1, the appeal is granted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time and service.
All right, it's an hour and a half. Steady work. We now have, another exciting one. 128 Camp Ave request for sewer extension, discussion and action. We sent the letter. Staff, you want to bring us up to speed?
Yes. We have had direct contact with everybody on the list except for 531 Hollow Tree Ridge Road and 127 Camp Avenue. In your packet, the owner is incorrect. There's a new owner there, and they have responded. It is no longer a no response. It's an opposed response. And if I could just summarize the general consensus of the people we spoke to, all of the people who we spoke to wanted a sewer and understood the benefit of the sewer and had lots of very good questions. However, at the end of the day, only 128 Camp Avenue ended up in favor. So it was 5-1 against.
Okay.
I can see Ms. Boston is on with us.
Yep, it's been our practice not to go along with sewer extensions in areas where there is not support for those that might benefit from it, at least in a way that would charge them for the connection. So, Ms. Boston, would you like to make any comments?
No, thank you. Darren and I had an extensive conversation recently, and I understand the parameters that you're working under. So I appreciate the effort that you went through to try and see this forward. But I think I'm clear on what the situation is.
All right, thank you very much. We are pro sewers. Do believe it's environmental improvement in general, especially on lots smaller than 2 acres, in my mind. But doesn't look like it's going to move forward. Do we need an official action to deny the request, or what do you think, Darren or Ed?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
we're not going to move forward unless we're directed by the commission.
okay. I think we're clear. Does everybody concur with the consensus opinion here?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your time and
Mr.
interest.
Boston.
Yes, Darren.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
I'm just saying, nice to meet you, Ms. Boston. Thank you.
Have a good night. All right, item number 5, Arcadis Professional Agreement, Old Kings Highway South Inspection and Pipeline.
Yeah, in your packet, you have their contract, their scope of work. I wanted you all to get a chance to take a look at it. This includes the completed inspection services, the bid, actually the scope of work is in there for you to look at, but I'll just go over briefly. It does include additional inspection services that need to be completed before we do any work out there. Inspection of the service laterals to see how much damage was done to those, so that we can accurately put together a project to line those laterals. Also, they have a program for that. That's important because as soon as I get that done, we can get the contract drawings and planning done so that we can get this thing out to bid. That would be the 3rd phase. Once bid, there is construction administration that's going to be done. We've done some work on with them anyway. We're going to provide some oversight to the resident engineering services at the end, where they won't have to be on site for the entire lining of the pipe. That it doesn't happen that quickly. Opportunities for them not to charge us to be there 8 hours a day for 75 days. So we worked that number down a little bit, as well as task number 1, inspection of the services. We don't need full-time engineering services to overlook that part of the program too. So this number was up a little higher. We did get it down to under 200,000. I think it's a good number. This is one of the first ones I'm going to be dealing with in a long time that has all of these components in it. I think my biggest concern is waiting. Right now, that pipe out there needs some attention. I prefer not to line it during the winter time. I prefer to get all my eggs in one basket during the winter, get my design done, bid it, get ready to go. And as soon as that weather warms up, get out there in March and April and get that pipe lined so that we don't have any issues. There's 3,500 linear feet of piping we need to do. There's 18 manholes that need to be lined also. 18 manhole rim and frame and covers that need to be reset, as well as I think there were 14 services. I'm sorry, I forgot that number. But in total, they think it's going to take about 75 working days from start to finish once they get going. So I'd like to get this started as soon as possible with your concurrence. Any questions you have on this, I'm here to answer.
Commission, questions for Mr. Gentile? Please.
I'm wondering, where does the high hydrogen sulfide come from? Do we know that?
Well, it starts at the 5 Mile pump station, and the discharge for that happens to be on Old Kings Highway South. And through the length of this pipe has caused the condition of the pipe to deteriorate. Kind of like what had happened out on the Boston Post Road at 1950, 1958, where it just collapsed from the inside. So that's what we're doing. That's going to be lined right now, like we lined that section. It's just that they found significant damage partially down the line also where the Andrews Drive pump station ties in. So there's damage along that entire pipe that we need to address as soon as we can.
I get that part. I was just wondering where it came from. When I was on EPC, Darren came in one time with a pipe to show us the corrosion. And I never did understand where it came from. Thank you.
Yeah, that pipe was corroded from the outside. That was the 5 Mile River pump station pipe. It was ductile iron, and for some reason it corroded from the outside. The hydrogen sulfide, Bob could probably correct me if I'm wrong, it's a natural byproduct of aging sewage. And what Ed is, I think, is saying is where it discharges, as in the case of the Post Road and as in the case of Old Kings Highway South, from a large force main. There's lots of turbulence, and that gas has a chance to get exposed to the unsubmerged part of the pipe. And when the gas, what we saw is in both cases is the upper part of the pipe is the part that's deteriorated by the gas.
Thank you. Thank you. That makes sense. Thank you very much.
And just based on are these sort of a ballpark estimate? And if they run into extra work, this number starts to grow? Is that where we're at with Arcadis? It's more or less a budget?
It is a budgetary number. I did see some of the numbers on the hours. They are a little conservative. There's opportunities that won't take as long. And I have to say, as I've been going through and paying their invoices and the original estimate we had gotten for the I&I study, they're pretty close to their numbers. They haven't come in and asked for extra money yet. And I think, that's one of the things you kind of expect as you get through task 1, 2, and 3. They overrun those budgets right out of the gate, and that's not what happened previously. And we'll definitely keep an eye on these as we go out and start doing the work in the field. 2 of these numbers are hard-pressed numbers based on quotes from subcontractors that they had gotten or had used in the past recently.
Just if I can go 15 seconds to Susan's question there. Like Darren said, hydrogen sulfide is a naturally occurring gas from decomposition. And what happens is when it's usually entranced in the water, but when you have turbulence, it's released. It's lighter than air, so it floats to the top. It combines with the moisture on the top of the pipe, creating sulfuric acid, which eats the concrete.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bob, is there any ways to mitigate that in the system?
To keep the turbulence as low as possible. That's why you do certain things, like when you have a manhole and you have pipes coming into it, you may do an outside drop so that the water comes down and is gently introduced to the water that's in the stilling well at the bottom of the manhole, or certain ways that you don't have basically the waterfall effect. It is one of the biggest things that happen, but some of that piping is already there, so it's difficult to deal with.
Bob, I love having you on the commission.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sometimes.
Fine, sometimes. All the time. We have to hear all sides.
I'd say all.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point of having a committee and not just one person. Yeah, my thoughts on this agreement, and maybe you could help me out here. Obviously, we just want to make sure we're meeting our responsibility to spend user dollars appropriately and carefully. We have a preferred consultant that we've been working with now for 2 years. You are allowed in such circumstances to negotiate in good faith with professional services to arrive at a number that you feel is fair to the town. And I guess I would just like your concurrence that you believe that you have done that and you believe this number is fair.
I do. I think when we had the meeting to talk about the original proposal, the big question is, okay, where can we help you? Where can our guys assist you in the field so that a lot of these costs can be a percentage of what they had proposed, which is what we found at the very beginning to do inspection services, and what we found at the end when when they would be lining the pipe and doing the actual construction. I think I'm not gonna say I beat them down. I think what we did was come to a good plan that's fair and equitable to the town and the ratepayers.
I mean, the way this works is it has to work for both sides, right? I mean, they are a private company. They are in it to make a profit. They have their own bills to pay, but we have our own bills to pay and our duty to our ratepayers. And it's just something to keep an eye on to make sure the relationship stays cooperative. I think they've done excellent work on our behalf so far. Certainly would prefer to continue working with them and not delay this very needed project for moving forward. I think that also plays into this proposal before us, is that time is of value to us here. With that,
Craig, I just ask one other question. This
Yes.
would come out of our funds, not, this would not be bonded, correct?
This will come out of the bonding funds.
Oh, it will, okay. Great.
That's the only place where I have that much money to do it with. It's the ramping up to do construction, which will also come out of that bonding fund. Now, understand that there's additional monies being presented to the town. I think Craig is aware of the ARPA funds that are out there. There's an opportunity for us to get some money to do sewer work also. The only thing it won't cover is if there's it won't cover someone's percentage. It won't be the town's percentage of a grant, if you will. So I have to be very careful with that. So there's going to be some opportunities. This is one of the projects I want to put forward as part of ARPA. It's going to be around $800,000 to do all this lining, all this work. So maybe that's an opportunity to save the ratepayer some money to put it towards that.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic to try to take advantage of these things. Stay as close to zero for as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any further questions for Ed on item number 5? Given the value of the proposal, I would like a motion and a full vote.
Craig, I'll make a motion that we accept this proposal.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I think Bob got the buzzer that time. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye clearly. Aye clearly.
Aye clearly.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Okay, that's a unanimous vote.
Thank you, folks.
Superintendent's report.
All right, just a quick update right now. We are, this is we're gonna just update on the smoke testing. We have some addresses that we are trying to contact, some flat roof connections to our, possibly to our sanitary sewer. That we need some building inspection. So most of them in the downtown area that we're headed to. We're working on that right now with Arcadis. We did look into the Corbin Drive catch basins a little bit more. There are no direct connections. Darren, stop me if I'm wrong here, that we were able to find. What we did find in talking to Arcadis and looking at some of the video is there's a possibility that the sanitary and storm pipes are crossing each other in close proximity to where the sanitary sewer may be leaking at a joint, getting into the storm line and having it come out of the catch basin slightly downstream. So with that in mind and the cost to possibly dig that up and find that one location, I went and talked to, or I contacted Baywater, who's going to be relocating that sanitary sewer line to get a schedule on their work. And as of right now, it's tentative March, April of 2022. So therein lies a decision to be made. Do we go after and spend, somewhere between $10,000, $12,000 to try to fix this somewhat erroneous connection, because not a direct connection, or do we wait through the winter to see, to have them relocate that line and take our problem and make it go away for us.
So this section is being discontinued and replaced.
I'm sorry?
And this section of sewer, given the proposed project, is going to be abandoned and replaced.
That's correct. It will no longer be connected to our
And the
sanitary
private
sewer.
sector will be doing that without our involvement, well, other than appropriate oversight in the next 6 months.
Correct.
Start the next 6 months. I'm kind of comfortable waiting, given those set of facts. Anybody else?
Well, that makes sense to me too, to wait. The cost can't exceed that for the amount of treatment we need for the water that's inundated.
My only question is, and maybe I'm missing it, but it sounded like when they were doing flow testing that there was some significant spikes, and yet this possible reason for it doesn't quite line up. Maybe I'm missing something.
Well, Bob, without knowing exactly if the pipes are on top of each other, if there's the joints for the sanitary sewer are closer to the manhole than we think, without getting in and actually digging up that pipe to know, I really can't tell you. I'm not going to make something up, but I can tell you there's no direct connection. We stuck a camera in that line to see if that was any direct connections, and that was my biggest concern. If there was a direct connection, I'd go after it right away. I'd find a way to keep it inexpensive, and I'd go after it right away. There isn't that. There's no smoking gun for me right now. So I'm asking you guys, if you think through the winter time, when there should be very little infiltration and hopefully, no intense storms, rainstorms, that we can wait until March and April for them to start the relocation of that line.
So, I mean, it does, but my question really is are these two, seems like there's a leaking joint in the sanitary sewer and a leaking joint in the storm sewer. Would those two equate to the spike that we were getting during the flow testing? A leaking joint doesn't, I'm missing something. To me, a leaking joint and that kind of spike don't line up.
I don't disagree with you, Bob, but what we've looked at while we were out there and where the smoke took us to look, there's no direct connection for me to disconnect so that I can reassure you that I've got it or I've made a good attempt in getting it. Right now, all we have are very, very deep and very flat crossings between a storm and a sanitary, and they're there. Darren wants to show you a picture.
And I'm trying to look at
share your screen, Darren.
We got to teach him how to do that.
Except I don't have it on my computer. All I have is a hard copy.
Well,
okay.
So this is the catch basin in front of the post office. The red line is a drain line. The green line
So
is
you're standing. So basically, you're standing where that automated gate used to be, or still is.
No, I think it's over by the mailboxes, right? Yeah.
Oh,
that gray
further
building
down the street. Okay.
We're looking right at where Tibbetts used to be.
Okay.
Right? And the green line is the sewer, and our sewer guys tell us that whole line is lined. So the sewer line itself should be in good shape. Now coming in towards the photo, there's a small pipe, and going out is a small pipe, and it discharges into that other drain manhole near the number 6.
Yes.
Is pretty deep. So that's a whole separate storm drainage system. And the pipe that leaves that catch basin and goes into the manhole is very shallow. It's like 2 feet or something like that. So we, with those numbers, that's what it looks like. That's the storm drain now.
That looks like a flag.
A flag?
Sorry,
yeah,
the light behind it goes through and it doesn't, I don't see the photo.
Yeah, I see a little bit of a circle. Well,
Oh, okay.
but this was, so it
Oh, all
first
right, that
showed
one's
up on
better.
our radar because the flow test indicated an immediate spike of water after rainfall events. And then it showed up on our radar when they went to this area to smoke test, and they said smoke was coming out of a catch basin. That's what I recall.
That was my recollection. That's what they told us. That's what they reported. What Darren doesn't show you on that picture is as you head further down Corbin to Old Kings Highway South to the right, that storm manhole is actually pretty deep. And it comes in close contact or close proximity to the sanitary sewer line. So the separation up here where it crosses is about, like about 4 feet or something like that. But once you get in the street and they're crossing each other as you get closer to I-95, they're actually a foot apart, even closer. So they're deep.
Back to your where you're at is you don't know exactly what's happening in order to go dig up a spot and fix it. And if we start digging up the road, we don't know when we're going to stop digging up the road. And this is all happening for a sewer line that's going to be abandoned next year.
Correct.
Okay.
The only closing statement I'll say is it may also be exfiltrating as opposed to infiltrating.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so
we don't both.
That's a dirty word, Bob. That's a dirty word.
I'm well aware that it's a dirty word, but it's a word, and it's a possibility.
Exfiltration are for people that save the sound. And you and I both know it's hard to do. It's not only hard to measure that, it's hard to put that out there and actually think that causes damage. To be honest with you,
I'm not trying to be the devil's advocate. I'm just trying to be, true and fair. So that's all I'm trying to say.
But exfiltration wouldn't create a spike. It would create a depression. That's not the pattern of facts.
Just a quick question. Given that we've, Bob, just one sec, a different thought though. We did see a spike there. If it's not a cross connection, what other contributory elements could there be a building that has its roof leaders connected? Would we see a spike like that if it was something else than a cross connection?
Yeah, could it be a series of sump pumps?
My guess is exactly what you said, that it was a roof leader, but that would have shown up or should have shown up on a smoke testing, unless for some reason they put a trap in their roof leader, but I can't imagine that.
Or a check valve to a sump pump to a, it's, a check valve.
And by the way, all those buildings are also going to be removed.
I think the important information piece to this is that they're going to fix it, abandon it, fix it within the next, 5 months, 6 months.
I don't think this is a problem we need to address because it's going to be addressed de facto by work already proposed without spending our dollars.
Do you need a motion on that, Craig, or you just need?
No, it's the superintendent's report. It's his judgment on how to appropriately maintain the system.
Wanted to give you guys an update on that because I know Bob had asked about that last month and we hadn't gotten a conclusion, come to a conclusion on it either. Our Stony Brook, can I go to the next one or are there any more questions? Yes. Bob, you okay?
Thank you.
All right. Stony Brook, we are still working on our flood works. I think we're getting elevations put on the building. We actually couldn't use any of the benchmarks that we had, so we're going to have to hire a company. Darren's working on that right now to have a company come down and put benchmarks on both of our Stony Brook and Nearwater buildings so that we have accurate information going forward to put our flood mitigation measures in place as the chairman had asked. No problem with that. And Darren, any update on the Brookside pump station, letter C?
Yes, I sent out an email to all the commissioners and to you, Ed, at 3:35 today. We had, it's just a map. We don't have the Mylars. If you want to look at that copy, please feel free. But as soon as we get the Mylar, we'll have the planning and zoning director sign it and we'll record it. It is the property boundary of the Brookside Drive pump station, as the commission wanted, to refresh your memory, you wanted a map of our property recorded, not just pinned in the field. And the map that I sent you is in fact the map that will be recorded. Hasn't been done yet. As soon as we get the Mylar, we'll do it. Want me to share my screen?
Oh,
You're gonna teach me eventually, right?
give it a shot.
Okay, I click on the
I
screen
beat,
button.
I beat you to it. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Here, I'll stop. All right, can you go ahead?
I'm
get
never
you
gonna
through it.
learn.
The bottom, scroll to the bottom of the picture, right? There should be a
Minor
gray
number
circle
one.
with a screen. Just click on that. There you go. Yay.
You guys can see that?
I see it better on my screen, but yeah, that's fine.
Wow, it looks really messed up on mine. It looks a lot better to me when you share. Okay, so how do I unshare?
There should be a stop button if you hover over the area again, like a square, like a stop button on an old cassette player.
I'm scared I'm gonna leave the meeting.
Don't do that. Here, I can, yeah. Well.
Meanwhile, I'm the one laughing.
Near the top somewhere of the shared screen. Stop button.
No, actually, it's very small too. It's
Yeah.
a tiny little.
It's not intuitive.
People can see your screen. Okay, collapse. Collapse?
No, not collapse. Not up in the upper right there. Here, I gotta steal it from you, and then I'll be able to. So over the area of share, right at the top, there's a series of menus that say drawing tools, remote control, options, and there's a white square on mine that says stop sharing. So you can try that again if you want.
Okay. Yeah, it says camera viewer is attached. I'm going to reattach the cameras. Okay, you guys are back. Do you see it? I don't see it anymore.
No, you're not sharing anymore.
Okay. I just reattached cameras. So.
I make a motion Darren doesn't get to share a screen anymore.
Taking too much time. All right, is that it for the superintendent's report?
I'm all set, Craig. Thank you very much.
All right, any new business, please say no.
6:26 p.m.
I just want to give kudos to staff for this packet,
Yes.
and
Standing
kudos for
ovation to Penny.
and kudos
Thank
for
you.
Darren yesterday for responding out to the cloudy water incident.
Oh yes, I read that article. Man of the field.
Yep. Like I said, I got to meet Bob's dog.
All right, Peter, you're up.
Okay, I think I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I have a second.
Second.
All those in favor say thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter.
You can stop recording, Darren.
Okay, stop recording.